Hi, I'm Gavin, and welcome back to the S.O.U.N.D Project. So today we have the privilege of being at Robert Johnson's studio, so it's on location for this podcast. Thanks so much for joining me, Robert.
Thank you, Gavin.
Yeah. You've built a beautiful space here, and we've known each other for about 4 years or so, and just wanted to talk with you a little bit about the journey of this space and also how you got into this. Maybe start a little bit by telling the audience your background and maybe how you got interested in music and doing that as a hobby.
Well, when I was 6 years old, I had this love for music anyway, and I wanted to be able to replay it at will. And so for Christmas when I was 6, my parents purchased me a tape recorder, a cassette tape recorder, nothing fancy because my mom and dad weren't wealthy or anything in 1980. And I recorded everything I could. And then when I was 14, the progression to 14, I had a great stereo system. I had one of the first CD players ever made, and there wasn't such thing as portable CD players in 1986. So I asked for a really fantastic cassette deck, which other kids wanted toys or bicycles or stuff like that. I wanted a great cassette deck so I could use great cassettes and take my music with me.
Nice.
After that, when I was 14, my dad, we were at our church that I grew up in. He said, you know, that the gentleman upstairs, he really can't hear very well, and you're really good at and you love music. I think you could really be a real asset to him. So that took off. I went upstairs, and of course, he taught me how to use a console and taught me that we recorded our services, and I actually pushed them to move their quality up. So I have had the fever for recording since I was 14 years old.
Yeah. And
had this dream of one day having my own recording studio. So it's been a kind of a neat journey. I met up with a gentleman named Chris Karn at Vintage King. Told him I was wanting to build a studio. My wife and I built this home in 2008, and we're no longer together, but wanted to get it built. Well, 11 years passed. We were married for almost 11 years. So all that time passed, and I still had an empty basement.
Yeah.
And I decided to go try to move forward with it. And I talked to Chris Karn about it, and he recommended you.
Yeah.
And the pandemic hit, and, things went haywire. And thankfully, you could drive to see me.
Yeah.
And you came down and designed my dream. And so many people have been part of my dream, which you've met a few of them today that help from the logo to the construction to, you being the biggest blessing of all, designing the space. So that's kind of where I started. Recorded a few things in different facilities. My studio, Chance Cube Studios, the name began in 2010.
Yeah.
And with a recording that I did for some youth kids at my old church. And they were really proud of that. And they said, you ought to call it Chance Cube Studios. And I was like, oh yeah, we can do that.
Let's talk about that a little bit, the meaning behind the name Chance Cube. I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah, it's a silly thing. On Star Wars Episode 1, there was this guy, Watto, and Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi were trying to get a part for their ship and try to get what Darth Vader's beginning name was anyway. And he said, I happen to have a Chance Cube here. And he brought it out, and it was red and blue, and then Liam Neeson used the Force, and he moved his hand over the cube and made it the way he wanted it to suit their need.
Yeah.
And I said, that's kind of what we do here with our clients. We wave our hands over the gear and the console, and we bring their dream to the way they want to see it or hear it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of special. You can kind of look at the motif in here, and of course we've got a Watto in there on the focale, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I love the name. The logo turned out awesome, and yeah, adding in a lot of the reds and blues, because some of the early renderings that we had done of the space, they were more like grays, and you're just like, yeah, I'd like to go with this, and I think it turned out awesome.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I love the people come down and they say, "Oh, American theme." I was like, well, I love America, but it's not anything related to America.
yeah.
It's related to my dream.
Yeah, there we go.
It's a pretty special place to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, because this was the first trip that I had made after the pandemic started. Like I came down here in June of 2020, just to take some physical measurements of the space and get a sense of what we had available. And I mean, obviously, the first thing you see when you walk down here is not very many people have basements with 16-foot ceilings. And I know that was part of you building this house. That was the intention, was eventually to put a studio down here. And that's every studio owner's dream, is to have that much height to work with anywhere, let alone in a basement. So that was good forethought on your part.
Well, I can't take all the credit for it. A friend of mine that worked at Guitar Center Pro in Atlanta, he said, "Man, you're going to build your house. You're going to put a studio in there. Make sure you got 16-foot ceilings. You have a fantastic drum room." And I'm telling you, he was right.
Yeah.
So it made it a nice palette for you to design off of.
Oh, it was perfect, because there wasn't a lot of columns in the way or things that we had to work around too much. It was, it was the design came together pretty quick.
Yeah.
So, and I know that this is something you've been dreaming about since you were young. But how's it feel to have this space now that it's all completed? It's
really, it's kind of emotional. The first session we did down here was just test session, and getting things set and make sure the gear was patched correctly. But I came down here on my birthday, January 20th of this year. I was 50, and I hadn't seen it. Wes had it professionally cleaned the day before, and I hadn't seen it. And my girlfriend came over, and I said, "Hey, let's go downstairs and look at the studio before we get any equipment in it." And it was emotional, because it was 36 years that I had waited for this facility to be able to do what I want to do. And so it was it's a pretty incredible feeling, I'm telling you. And it's to know I'm in a realm with friends like Chris has, Dan Ballard down in Nashville. I'm kind of part of the club. I have my own studio and filled with world-class gear and great instruments, and it's just a nice. It took a long time to get here,
It did.
But wow.
Yeah. It was all worth it. I mean, it's obviously, like you said, pandemic slows some things down, and there's some hiccups with that, but overall, I mean, working with Wes Sipes for doing the construction, and then Chris being involved to help with all the gears selection, and then Matt Call from Simplified Acoustics came in and did all the treatment. Just overall, even though it took a while to realize that dream, it's pretty special what you have here.
Thank you. I feel like I was able to work with some incredible people. From West to Matt Call's a great fellow, man. He was so neat while he was here with his visit. My brother, Matt needed brakes on one of his pickup trucks, and we took it to my shop and we put brakes on his pickup truck, awesome. So we helped each other and built a friendship there too. And I'm hoping that he will come back and do a record with me. He said he really wanted to.
He's a good drummer, so yeah.
So, I would love that if he would. But just great people, and you definitely had a great recommendation. With Matt.
Yeah.
So
for
just
sure.
good people.
It's awesome. I mean, for me, that's like the biggest part of doing any job like this is that, I mean, I love studios and I love to design them and see them built, but it's more along the lines of like the relationships you build along the way and the people involved. And like, I don't know, I just find ourselves very lucky that actually just recently a manufacturer had reached out to me and said, man, I just really love it when your clients call because I know they're just going to be good people. And I was like, I don't know how we got that lucky to just have clients that,
What a great compliment.
Right. Yeah. I thought it was awesome. And it's something I feel every day too. It's like the people that we work with are people that I would want to hang out with regardless if we were doing a project with. So, and I feel that same way with you.
Well,
and
thank you.
I mean, it's always a joy to get like a text from you about progress that was going on in here. And I'm really curious about like what is next now that it's done. Like what's your goals for this place?
Well, Robbie and I, we would love to get some named people in here to give us a shot. It's not a room issue. It's not an equipment issue. It's just a matter of people want to come in and sitting, in a low key facility, but not low key as far as quality,
right?
But just a laid back atmosphere to do a project and get back to the love of music and be here with us and love music as much as we do.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to do, my goal is to have a record on the radio.
Yeah.
I don't believe it's not obtainable.
Mm-mm.
I believe I just need to get people to come see me.
Yeah.
And if they just want to do tracking here, that's fine. And I can give them the session in Pro Tools and they can take it with them.
Sure.
I think they'll find that we can produce the quality here that you don't need to necessarily go to Nashville unless that's where you want to be. But if you're driving through town and you want to stop and do a session, hey, we're here.
And we're just south of Louisville area. And like you said, the quality is there. Everything as far as the gear, you've put everything top notch into the space. So I think it's just going to be a matter of once people find out about this place, I think you're going to then have to turn people away. There's going to be so much interest.
Well, I hope that's a nice problem.
Yeah, it would be.
I would just love to get some great people in here to enjoy and feel the passion that we have, and I have toward music. I have a regular job. I have my brother and I run a company, and so this is not I don't need to pay the bills with this. This is something we do for love.
Yeah.
And for enjoyment. So the focus is not about the money, it's about the quality.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not going to be commercial feeling.
I'm sure.
But then again, I can't do it for free either.
Yeah, of course.
But the focus here is about the music and the quality. It's not about the money.
Yeah. It's
about being with people and capturing a dream that they have the same way that I had, So it's really exciting.
Yeah, it's really special. Our clients are varied as far as, some of them are professional musicians that's all they do for a living, but there's a lot, just like you, that have a story of a dream to have this studio, and then they've worked a different job their whole life to be able to afford something like this. And those are actually probably my favorite jobs, is just because it just means so much. I know that talking through this process with you along the way, and it's just like, I cannot wait for that studio to be done because Robert's going to be so happy.
Oh, I'm happy.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I think that's an understatement.
That's great. So do you have any recordings lined up as far as bands that you want to have come in here?
I do have a few. I'm just waiting on them to, this is, one of them told me it's like herding cats, trying to get them all together because they all have regular jobs too. Of course. And, right now I can only do 1-2 days a week.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to get everybody lined up on those days, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've got some folks waiting, just trying to get them herded up so that on the right day so we can get in here. And they've practiced, their creative process is ready. They just need, there's not a facility to this quality and caliber in this city. Mm. and or to be able to do the scale that we can do.
Right.
And there are some other places here, but they don't have the quantity of gear, or they may not be able to do the scale that Robbie and I want to do.
Yeah.
And then to the quality they want to do it.
Yeah.
And I want them to be, hey, the next step's mastering and get you on the radio, you know. So that's important.
Yeah.
It's important to me.
Well, I'm excited for you guys. I mean, this place is beautiful. I've loved seeing it come together. I appreciate you trusting us with your dream, you know, because that is, we don't take that lightly. And just the fact that we can play a small part in it is an honor. So.
Yeah, thank you. I think it was more than a small part.
Well, I always say that us doing the design work, there's obviously a lot of science and math involved with that and art involved with it, but we also didn't swing any hammers. It takes a village to make something like this happen, and you had a really great team surrounding you. So
I did. And you did tell me where to put the drums in the room.
Did.
And you were spot on.
Yeah, nice.
So
nice.
You know your work, and you're great at it. So
thank you so much. Well, Robert, I really appreciate you being on the podcast, and
thank you.
Congratulations on this beautiful space.
Thanks. Appreciate you, Gavin.
All right. Thanks for being part of the S.O.U.N.D project. Robert here had a dream of making this space happen. I'm just curious out there, if you guys had a certain dream when it comes to your studio, what would that be? Please comment that below, and we'll see you next week.